There is no mainstream media that actually does damage to Democrats unless it's at the behest of other Democrats. The fact that it's been going on for 2 weeks already tells you that those talking points have been scrambled. There's something going on. There is not a mainstream corporate media that completely inundates the Democratic Party to a defensive position over more than a one-day period of time. It just doesn't happen.
You are getting a sense for what Democrats get on a day-to-day basis. You think Vince McMahon and the WWE is staged? Democrats in the media every single day of your life is staged.
Because they think that Joe Biden can't win, suddenly they're doing their jobs.
Bingo.
At the end of the day, they're the same liberal activist media they're always going to be.
They preview what it is that needs to be said, they say it, and then they market it.
I think we all need to prepare ourselves for the day that Biden retains the nomination and the media writes him up as the comeback kid.
It's exposing the level to which it's obvious that Joe Biden's team is like the JV of the JV. These are like the backbenchers, the fifth, sixth string guys.
Who's pushing Biden to stay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it Jill? Is it Hunter? I mean, that part seems obvious. But who are the political allies?
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Just a catching strays over here.
You're in for a hell of a show.
Keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs.
It's time for our main event.
Welcome back to the Ruthless Variety program. I am Josh Holmes, along with Comfortably Smug Michael Duncan and John Ashbrook, a full complement cast and crew here coming at you in what is nothing less than an amazing week here in politics. We are 1 week removed from the Republican National Convention. Democrats aren't sure who their candidate is yet. We are in unprecedented territory, fellas.
Yeah, if it looks like we're having a great time, it's because we are.
I haven't seen a single Republican without a smile on their face today.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just like a skip and just a jump, and you get out of your bed and you're like, holy smokes, what does this feel like?
Yeah, you jump out of bed and you're like, I can't wait to see how they mess things up even worse for themselves. Because that's like their daily schedule is like make things worse, make things worse, make things worse. And it just keeps going on. It's wonderful.
Keeps going on. I would like for each and every one of you to take away from this particular episode what was said, I think poignantly, by Joe Biden in clip number 1. Spaghettis?
I'm going to come to the overflow room.
Wait, what did he say?
Yeah, that's what he said.
He is finishing a speech. He's finishing a speech. And he wanted to alert supporters
Yes.
that he would be coming in the overflow room.
Is that what that was? Because it was unclear to me.
The overflow room's
Yeah.
like, no.
I'm gonna come in the overflow room, and like it didn't. It was a non sequitur.
Yeah.
It was
like
completely unnecessary.
Unrelated, a neurologist has visited the White House 8 times. I'm like,
So that's what we're dealing with here off the top. And why don't we let's kick another clip. This is gonna be a clip heavy show, folks, because
A lot to work with.
there's a lot that we can say. We're going to help fill in the blanks and where this whole thing is going. But like it all starts with the fact that the Democratic nominee, the current president of the United States, is, well, he hadn't sold it yet.
He hasn't sold it, and I think his biggest problem now is he has to sort of overcompensate for that bad debate performance by trying to be high energy now on the trail.
Which is so bad.
Which is a very difficult thing for him to do.
And
it's
it
like
runs
he-
contrary to the whole strategy.
Yeah.
And it's like he told the Dem governors on that call, he was like, listen, I can get up, I can campaign. The only problem is with my brain. And they're all like,
They're like, oh,
that's kind of a problem.
that feels like a big component.
He's like, just brain bad.
Brain bad. Okay. All right. Well, let's hear from the brain bad. Clip 2, please, Spaghettis.
I'll beat Donald Trump. I will beat him again in 2020.
So he's time traveling.
He's gonna beat him again in 2020. Like so in an effort to try to get out from underneath the debate, which went totally sideways to the point where you have rank and file Democrats, very establishment, go along to get along Democrats calling for him to step aside. He's tried to step it up, and he's like, he shows up in Wisconsin, which was that clip, and he's like, oh, I'm going to show a lot of energy. I'm going to beat him. I'm going to beat him again in 2020.
Doesn't exactly instill confidence. And it's not just rank and file members now. I mean, there was supposed to be this meeting of Senate Democrats that ended up getting scuttled now because it got leaked to the press. And then you've got major figures in the Democratic Party, huge funders, billionaires, Abigail Disney, a bunch of Hollywood folks.
Reid Hoffman,
Ari Emanuel.
Ari Emanuel.
I mean, these names might not mean anything to you other than Disney, but these are major players in
this is like
Democratic
over
politics.
$100 million in Dem donations.
Yeah, like if you ever watched the show Entourage, the agent Ari in Entourage, that's basically a character that was built after Ari Emanuel.
Who's now like a part owner of the WWE. He owns like half of Hollywood.
He's
the
a
guy's
whale.
making insane amounts of money and donating a ton to Democrats.
But he's also the brother of Rahm Emanuel,
The current ambassador to Japan.
current ambassador to Japan in the Biden administration. He was chief of staff to Barack Obama in the first term.
Well, I think Ari Harrow and every Dem donor and these people on the Hill do not
It's
understand.
not Ari Harrow.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, you're going to start off that hot.
I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
Ari
sorry.
Emanuel.
Ari Emanuel.
Yeah.
They don't understand what they're up against in the Biden family. They're up against Hunter Biden. That guy is sitting in his room overlooking a coast somewhere, stitching the biggest golden parachute anybody has ever seen, and no one's going to stand in the way. He is smithing a universal key to any set of handcuffs anybody could ever come up with,
Smithing.
and no one will stop him. He has his hammer on an anvil.
And that's the amazing thing is like the stories coming out of like Joe Biden has sequestered himself with Joe Biden and Hunter to see if he should keep going. It's like, of course they're saying keep going. He's like, Dad, they're gonna lock me up. We got to keep this shit going.
It's like a horse that's ready for the glue factory, and they're taking the opinion of the jockey.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, what do you think?
Do you think I should still run?
Do you like him? Does he still lick your hand when you give him the oats?
And like I don't think people fully appreciate yet the level to which Jill Biden like loves the trappings of like fame and power. She had the United States Marine Band compose a theme for the First Lady. This is someone who's that into themselves. Like, she's not giving this up. That's why you see her being like, Joe, you didn't shit yourself. Round of applause, everybody. Like, she's got to set the bar to that level
Send
to keep
him out
this
again.
grift going.
Send him out.
Didn't he do a great job, everybody?
Oh, the poor.
It's like Jaws just hanging there. He's like, is it 2018, 2020? What year is it?
She's like reaching over and readjusting, smacking it back up into his top. I mean, it's so bad. So listen, we're going to go through all of that. You're going to get a kick out of this show. We've had some high energy over the last few weeks. We're going to continue
That's
that.
not going to change.
We're going to continue that. You're going to love everything about it. We have a big announcement. Big announcement. We've waited until now, until we get this thing locked in. We're going to be live from the convention. So it turns out what we did in Milwaukee for the pre-debates, they appreciate it.
Yeah.
The RNC appreciate it. People appreciate it. They like the game day setup. They want to do it again. We're going to be live at 2 to 4 Central Time on YouTube each and every day of the convention.
Yeah, that's a lot.
There's going to be 4 days of programming. The last 2, we're going to be joined by Megyn Kelly.
It's going to be so
And we'll
good.
have 4 hours the last 2 days. You don't forget to subscribe on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah, you want to subscribe on YouTube, and you hit that drop down and the bell that says all. That's all notifications.
Yeah.
And the reason why that's important is it's going to send you that notification when we go live, so then you can just tune in right then.
That's exactly right.
And it's free to subscribe.
Yeah.
And you can't opine unless you subscribe.
That's right. You can also go to, what's the website? ruthlessrnc.com and sign up for email notifications. We'll be sending out, blast emails about the show. We'll be having, videos from all the programming and stuff. So don't miss that website too, because you'll get all the updates there as well.
And for those of you who were part of the last time we did this, I mean, you need to be you know this is the base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? These are the people who know exactly what this thing is. It's completely hilarious. Last time around, we did the show at 106 degrees. I just look at the forecast. It looks like it's like high 70s.
No way, really?
Yeah.
High 70s. And if we get a little breeze off Lake Michigan, it'll be delightful.
If we can
Amazing.
have that kind of energy in 106, imagine. Just imagine.
Imagine the number of beers I could chug.
I was just going to say, the sheer number of beers. It's going to be fantastic.
And the guest list is going to be stellar. Like, this is going to be a must-see event. Like, everyone who listens, we love it. You're going to want to see this in video.
100%. So coming up, we're going to talk about Biden and picking up from our show last Thursday, what he's done since, all the disastrous interviews, where Democrats are, all of that stuff. We've got some variety. One of the things that came through us through Smash, which I think is a nice touch. We're going to have a little boot camp for Democratic staffers, Democratic comms professionals who've never had to deal with anything like this.
For the first time in my life today, I saw a journo chasing a Democrat congressman.
No, it was Senator
Comm.
Carper. Senator Carper, I think.
It was a House member
He's like,
30
"What's
minutes
this?"
ago.
Yeah.
He was like,
Shuffling
what are you
along.
doing? You're asking me questions?
Yeah.
I've never had that.
It's very funny. Not a quick twitch on that guy.
No, I mean,
Of course not. So we're going to lend a helping hand to Democrats who are in need.
yeah, we're going to get you a couple of things that you need to get to. And then we've got July 4th tradition. Continue this year. Dozens of cars were launched off a cliff. It's Alaska, right? Up in Alaska. If you haven't seen this yet, this is a tradition we can get involved with here at the Ruthless Variety Program. One you're not going to want to miss at the end of the program. We've got all of that right after this.
Hey folks, my friends at Americans for Prosperity are again on the front lines fighting against the border crisis. It's clear the politicians aren't going to solve this on their own. It's going to take good old-fashioned grassroots activism, and that's what AFP specializes in. Americans for Prosperity Foundation has taken hundreds of concerned citizens to see the border for themselves, turning them into informed activists. And Americans for Prosperity knows just what we need: more border agents, more walls, and more technology. That's what makes Americans for Prosperity unique. They do the tough work of organizing and mobilizing everyday Americans to make a difference. In fact, they just announced a major campaign to hold Biden and his allies accountable for the crisis at the border. Learn more at securebordersecureamerica.com. That's securebordersecureamerica.com.
Okay, so I think it's you that came up with this, a replacement theory.
That's right. That's what's happening right now on the Dem side is you've got the donor class. You've got a bunch of operatives who are like, it's time for the replacement for Joe Biden. Here's how we do it. We can have this like double secret event at the convention where we release all the delegates and then we can pick, because true democracy is when you don't let the voters and primaries decide. It's when you get the donors and operatives in a room and you pick for them.
But it gets actually a little mixed when you cancel the primaries and caucuses
Right.
In order to get the nomination, and then they want it back. And
Yeah. So like all the suckers who are Democrats who voted, that's not democracy.
No.
Like, your vote didn't count.
no, it absolutely didn't. But look, picking up on where we were last Thursday, which Duncan and I talked about at great length about the fact that this was a black swan media event. And generally speaking, there is not a mainstream corporate media that completely inundates the Democratic Party to a defensive position over more than a one-day period of time. It just doesn't happen. Like 20 years of doing this, maybe seen it once or twice. Like Harry Reid, we lost this war, maybe. Like a couple other times. But mostly this is a completely unique experience. And we said that if you get through the next weekend, get July 4th, and you wrap into the next week, if we're in the same place the next Thursday that we were the following Thursday, something's happening.
Yep.
Right? Because it doesn't take the Democratic establishment a lot to get the media back aligned with their position. I mean, it's basically like sending out talking points. It's like, oh, no, here we are. This is where we're at. And they generally dutifully follow around. The fact that it's been going on for 2 weeks already tells you that those talking points have been scrambled. There's something going on. People have been working on different things.
Yeah, no, I think you're making a really important point. And just for expectation setting, I think we all need to prepare ourselves for the day that Biden retains the nomination and the media writes him up as the comeback kid.
That's what I
Joe
think.
Biden's back at it. He's got his energy. It was a blip on the radar there at the debate, but now headed down the home stretch, Joe Biden is ready to win.
And I think that's right. We're not there yet.
Well, that's true.
We're not there yet. As evidence, let's go to clip 3, Spaghettis.
The American public is not going to move away from me as an average voter. And again, I'm here for 2 reasons, pal. One, to rebuild the economy for hardworking middle-class people, give everybody a shot. Just a straight shot. Everybody gets a fair chance, number one. Number two, remember all this talk about how I don't have the black support? Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much
Joe and
more.
me are an elite.
But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president. Challenge me at the convention.
There's no more primaries left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean announce for president? What are you talking about? It's all over. You stacked the deck. I mean, this is the most amazing thing of all time is that he's calling in to Joe and Mika, Morning Joe, the most Democratic establishment program in all of America. Like, there is no other place that your rank and file Democrats gather like that, right? If none of you have ever watched that, I do not blame you because actually by the numbers, none of you ever have,
Yeah.
right? It's just your absolute dyed-in-the-wool Democratic hardcore voter that watches that show.
But like Morning Joe is the organizing vehicle of the Democratic elite.
Yes.
The very people he is supposedly attacking there. And I would point out, I mean, Biden raised what, like $50 million with Barack Obama and a bunch of Hollywood actors like 3 weeks ago?
That's right.
And now he's against the elites, old Scranton Joe.
Yeah, the guy
He's such a fucking fraud.
he's been in the federal government. He's been a senator for like 50 years.
Yeah.
This guy's been in government.
The elites.
Yeah.
You're the sitting president of the United States. You're the most powerful person in the world, and you're talking about the elites are against you. Give me a fucking
The
break.
elites. He's
Yeah.
the president of the United States. But like, furthermore, I will just say, you know, he spent a calendar week post-debate meandering around. There was no effort to reach out to people. There was no like consolidation of base. There was no acknowledgement of the fact that his very candidacy was jeopardized. What they said was, we're going to right the ship with the George Stephanopoulos interview on ABC on Friday night. Like the one time where the vast majority of voters are not going to tune in.
Right.
Yeah.
An ABC special on Friday night. Like the day after the 4th of July. Right. Like everybody's in news consumption mode overdrive
Exactly.
at that point, right?
Exactly.
Like, can you imagine? So he does that. And I think it was the worst of all scenarios for Democrats because he was Joe. He was bad. He, if you were to put a transcript together of what he said, Bracket Man would be just like sweating bullets trying to like reformulate what it is that it was supposed to be saying. Like words didn't actually work together, but it was coherent enough where they couldn't just boot his ass.
And also the problem is when the rare moments that he was coherent, the message he was giving, like he was asked, okay, well, look at the polling. You have the worst like favorability in the history of any president. If it's, you know, the day after the election, you lost to Donald Trump, you know, what are you going to say? And he was like, I gave him my goodest try.
That's literally what quote.
Well, what
My
he was
goodest.
what he was saying to Joe and Mika was not that different from what he was saying to George Stephanopoulos. But what caught my attention is how he was saying it. I don't know. First of all, let's just set aside the fact that he wasn't on camera when he did this interview with Morning Joe. Secondly, did you guys happen to notice how like hollow the interview sounded?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
because he was probably on speakerphone.
Yeah, because
And
he's got a stack of papers in front of him.
72-point font. You can't read that while you're holding a phone.
Right.
He was barking into a speakerphone.
There were parts of that interview you could hear papers being
Well,
shuffled.
dude, listen to this next clip. Look, clip 4.
Nobody said anything except me and the folks out there in the local
Shuffling papers.
He said, I did nothing to stop Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In fact, he said, I think I encouraged Russia from going. I think he encouraged Russia going in.
He's reading.
I'm reading from the list of lies.
Yep.
First of all, he was made up quotes. Suckers
Who
and
allows
losers.
this?
I was with.
How is this an interview?
He called the Americans in the cemeteries from World War I suckers and losers. And so this guy's going to have to start to answer for what he did.
Dude, he's like, oh, he's a talking point.
Right, that's the thing. It wasn't an interview. It was a take-home test.
Yes.
Like he has all the answers in front of him. He's on speakerphone. How is this an interview?
And he still got it wrong. He was like, it was the World War I cemetery. He was like, I remember a lot of my buddies went to fight in that one.
The trouble with the trouble with 72-point font is you can't fit that many words on a page. So he had like 8 pages for 1 page worth of information.
His brain's in 72-point font. Like you can tell him a sentence, he'll give it a shot, and he'll still garble it.
You know, this one aside though, back to that ABC interview. The thing that I found most interesting about it was how Biden taking on all this water on the age thing has become a real like petulant child.
Yeah.
Like he's like a teenage girl. They ask him about this like conference of Senate Democrats going to come together and ask him to step aside. And he's like, oh, well, Mark Warner wanted to be president. You know?
He's like, that bitch has always had it for me.
Yeah.
He's like, what? That's your answer, dude?
Like, it's not you
Mark
like
Warner.
falling apart and having dementia on national television in the most critical debate of like your entire political career. It's because this guy wanted my job. Like, are you kidding me?
I mean, I'm making sure that we're not going to cover this, and I don't think we are, but like the Mark Warner thing is a great jumping off point because any of us who've been involved in politics over the last 20 years knows Mark Warner, he presents himself as a reasonable Democrat, somebody who can cut through the partisan nonsense of Washington, D.C. Much like a Joe Manchin type, except with less credentials, if that's possible, than Joe Manchin. But like, when the party's like that, it's not unhelpful. He's like, oh, what happened? I just didn't,
Right.
I couldn't. So this guy organized this whole thing that became public where he was going to have a whole bunch of lawmakers go to the White House and be like, listen, Joe, we love you. We love what you're doing. What happened?
Draw a clock.
But draw a clock.
Just help us understand.
And then maybe hand it over to Kamala. And like, they're like, hey, we heard you're going to have him draw a clock. And Warner's like, what are you talking about? I'm a Joe Biden till I die.
Puts away the paper Sharpie.
It's just
Not me.
But it's a classic. It's been the way that it has been throughout that guy's entire career.
It's classic Mark Warner, where any skin in the game is too much skin in the game.
Totally.
He literally will not take a risk on anything.
But that's what you're dealing with. So if you want to know the extent to the problem within the Democratic Party, you're dealing with guys like Mark Warner or Don Beyer in the House of Representatives, who, like, if you don't know their names, I don't blame you. They've never done anything consequential in their lives, in large part because there's never been anything controversial outside of the Democratic mainstream they've ever weighed in on. If they ever had an opinion that ran contrary to Democratic establishment, it evaporated in a matter of seconds.
And it's like Don Beyer's communications director has been getting destroyed all weekend because he's been nonstop getting out in front of his skis. I'm being like, Don Beyer wouldn't say that. And then New York Times has a direct quote from Don Beyer being like, I think Joe should go.
They had
They
audio.
don't know what they're doing.
They had audio, and they're like, Don Beyer wouldn't say that. And they're like, well, here's the audio. And it's like 2 seconds later, Don Beyer saying, like, I love Joe Biden. You know? Like, that's what you're dealing. But if those guys, if those guys are the problem, to the point that you and I made last week, Duncan, on this show, was that this is not just something that's like a media creation where Democrats are just sort of like disappointed with an outcome of a debate and they're like have to reassemble themselves. There's an effort.
Yeah.
There is an effort underfoot, a real one, that's probably donor-led, that has at some level at least sort of the understanding of people like Barack Obama that like maybe this isn't our best stuff. You don't get Mark Warner, you don't get Don Beyer, you don't get people like that to like freelance on an open call with all their colleagues without it.
Right.
That's the way that works.
And I think that's the other thing is it's exposing the level to which it's obvious that Joe Biden's team is like the JV of the JV. These are like the backbenchers, the fifth, sixth string guys during the Obama presidency that now you see they aren't ready for game day. They've never been ready. They've been treated with kid gloves this entire time. And so when the media comes up and asks them a simple question, they flip out. They have no practice or understanding of how to deal with a press that actually is trying to do its job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's also been a really hilarious circular firing squad. I mean, I had a very enjoyable 4th of July weekend. You just would like open Twitter and it would just be a stream of like these like lib accounts attacking journalists and like
It's like political porn.
and like and journalists like directly quoting these Democratic
Yeah.
members about how bad Biden is.
Yeah.
And all of them fighting. It was just like you just got to sit back and watch the
There's this operative
fight.
asshole, Chris Jackson, on Twitter who's like, you know, he's like hashtag Team Biden. He got in an accident, I guess, a few months ago, and like Jill and Joe sent him flowers and everything. So it's not like this is some fringe dude. He was calling a journalist lady a human spittoon for pointing out how Biden, like, this is how dire they have gotten.
They're just unhinged.
A human spittoon.
He's like, you're a human spittoon.
Spaghettis, can we cue up number 1 again, just so everybody's got a good
my
a good
God.
look at that.
I'm going to come to the overflow room.
Feels right.
Like, that was absolutely normal.
Feels right.
Anybody who criticizes that is a human spittoon.
Human spittoon. All right, so there's a bunch of different articles, and we're not going to go through all of them, but we want to set the table a little bit because it's not just us saying this. Like, we're basically trying to frame up for you the national conversation that's happening, what you need to concentrate on, because there are different things for different. There's all kinds of speculation out there, but really, like the Washington Post, if it does a big piece, like that comes from Democrats.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's not coming from Republicans. It's about, this is quoting from them, one of the most consequential weeks in modern presidential politics is based on interviews with more than a dozen aides, advisors, lawmakers, governors, and other Biden allies, most of whom, on the condition of anonymity, describe deep private conversations. Together, they paint a picture of the Biden's team failure over the past 9 days to contain the crisis that is tarnishing his legacy and threatens his presidency. Something had been unlocked. I think this is a really important thing. Something had been unlocked. The unspoken spoken. That's good writing. It's good writing. Unspoken spoken. Everything was now under a microscope. At a $100 million East Hampton mansion 2 days later, Biden described a French cemetery at Normandy as Italian.
Well, you see, it's the elites attacking him. He's just trying to be in his $100 million Hamptons mansion, describing an Italian cemetery, with these elites just going after him.
Yeah,
It's
the
a month
elites.
since D-Day.
Yeah.
Since the end of 80th anniversary.
He's like, those Italians, they fought so valiantly in World War II.
Donors were stunned. Spoke so briefly about 6 minutes and then left without taking questions. In New Jersey, at a governor's private villa overlooking the Navesink River, he spoke so softly that a crowd of 50 craned their heads to hear him speak from a teleprompter.
Yeah.
50.
From a
He's at
teleprompter.
50 fucking people, and
Yeah.
this guy's speaking off of a teleprompter. Over dinner that night, participants reported a detailed discussion of policy, though Biden was hard to hear and sometimes struggled to complete his thoughts.
Between sips of Ensure.
I mean,
Struggling to complete his thoughts. Like, that's the level that we're dealing with. The United States president is having difficulty completing his thoughts.
we've talked a lot about like the pains that it would take to be a Biden staffer over the years. And like Bracket Man for sure is at the upper echelon of the concerns that you would have for the well-being of someone who earns a living in one of these spaces. I think Advance probably now qualifies. Can you imagine? You're like, well, we need to set up a teleprompter. Like, well, it's like 3 tables. There's three tables. There's 50, no more than 50 people at this thing. Can he just speak to them? Like, no.
It's unreal. I don't know if we're going to cover this out. The Alex Thompson reporting where he had the pictures of the podium.
Yeah.
Do we have that image? I don't know if we have that image loaded up. But Alex Thompson from Axios.
He got a leaked document.
He got a leaked document that showed pictures of a podium. And that was given to President Biden as like a direction. You walk to the podium. The guy is a career politician, and he doesn't know what a podium looks like.
Yeah. They have to like essentially take photos of like every step he takes.
Well, and not
and
just
have someone holding his arm.
Not,
It's like
not
telling-
just
it's like-
photos. It was like their perspective. It was a POV shot of where Biden would be standing and where he would walk to and what the podium would look like from his point of view. So it was
like a dimly lit walkway.
It's the most
versus-
descriptive like stage directions you could offer somebody.
Yes.
But he's been walking toward podiums at least 3 times a week for the last 50 years.
But that's the thing. It's like
Can you
now they have
imagine
experience of like there's podiums. There's a guy parachuting in front of him, and he'll look the wrong way. Dude. You really have to like give him the like baby book directions. The letter A is walk up to a podium.
Well,
like he's that level.
You know, in like kindergarten, when you see the kids outside of the school and they've got the rope that connects all the kids.
Yeah, they hold on
for
so
when
none
they
of them
cross
get
the
lost.
street and
The
the teachers
chain
at the
gang
front. The chain gang. Yeah, it's a preschool chain gang. We need to get one of those for Biden.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I
Like
think that's.
Jill just out there in front, and she's just herking them.
But
up.
if they're not allowing the chain gang, like again, the advanced guy, toughest job in the
Toughest job.
biz.
And that's the thing is, all of this is required. But it's not like this is in case something happens. This is from experience. Because the thing is we've seen it from the debate, we've seen it from interviews. Anytime you let him speak without reading from a teleprompter, I mean, he has the same kind of like tick where he'll like. They asked him about abortion. He'll be like, well, all these illegals came over and started murdering Americans, and I got into a fist fight with Leonardo da Vinci. And anyways, like he just says, like that's his tick. He'll say like a bunch of nonsense from like 300 years ago,
then
and he'll say,
anyways.
well, anyways.
Anyway.
And you're supposed to be like, am I supposed to ignore you just said you fought Leonardo da Vinci?
You are supposed to ignore. He says he can do the job. He just can't talk about it.
So it took days, according to the Washington Post, to realize how bad the damage was inside the party. Biden spoke fine from a teleprompter Monday when he was denouncing the Supreme Court's ruling on presidential immunity, which, by the way, they got all wrong.
Yeah.
Of course, because everything, if it deals with law in this country, they don't understand it. So he got, obviously, those talking points wrong, but he read them correctly. Hats off to...
President can still read.
Yeah. This was not a polling crisis. It was a political one. The calls were literally coming from inside the House. And that's what we were talking about last week on 2 shows. It's different when you're in this line of work, doing what we have done for the period of time that we have, to notice how the press, as you always say, if it's actually doing damage to Democrats, it's at behest of other Democrats.
Exactly right.
And that was what was happening last week. It was coming from inside the House. There's nothing that Republicans, Donald Trump, any one of us could do to ever make this a crisis for Joe Biden. They would have gone along with it. But like the vast majority of Democrats looked at what happened at the debate stage and then watched the actions afterwards and were like, ugh,
Yeah.
we can't have it.
And what the Biden camp would tell you is all this is being overblown by this debate performance. Look at the polls. Look at this. Look at that. Look how much money we're raising. Look at the crowds. His new thing is crowd size, which I
is
find
hilarious.
very ironic.
And even Stephanopoulos was
it's-
like, I don't
it's
think
very,
that's
very,
He
very
calls
funny.
into Morning Joe
Yeah.
angry, talking about his crowd size. Like,
Yeah, but like
this is Joe Biden.
But to the story you were just reading, Holmes, like when the Washington Post has like dozens of off the record staffers reporting that, Joe Biden can't do this job, when Alex Thompson has, I mean, the guy has had banger after banger on Twitter for like the last week and a half. He clearly has tons of sources
And it's just
in the White House.
reporting.
This is just reporting.
It's no editorial
It's
whatsoever.
none whatsoever. These are people who don't think Joe Biden can do the job, and they work for him.
Right. At a Wednesday meeting with Democratic governors, demanded by governors themselves. Look, again, I'm not saying that like I've had all the experiences in the world, but when governors of states demand some kind of an audience with a president, It's not good.
Proof of life.
It's
They're like, put him on a Zoom. This can't be a call. He has to hold up today's paper.
It surfaced more concern.
Just made things worse.
All still publicly supporting him, some effusively. But governors of Maine and New Mexico said their states could be competitive in a presidential race. Colorado Governor Jared Polis told Biden that people had told him a message of, tell Biden to drop out. Polis told him that.
And that is also such a cowardly move to be like, some people said he should drop out.
People are saying, many people are saying.
Many people.
Many people are, I'm not.
He's like, I'm just telling you what some people said to me.
I'm not, but many people are saying. Many within my state. In his first press interview since the debate with a radio station Wednesday in Pennsylvania, he bungled his words. Nothing new, folks. Now circulated evidence boasting about choosing the first black vice president. And he said, the first black woman to serve with a black president. That is the quote that the man used. That's it.
Joe Biden's actually a time traveler.
He tried to
like
describe-
that's his problem. This is like Quantum Leap, and he just doesn't know where he is. He's like, am I in like Biden's or am I Obama's vice president right now? Is Kamala my vice president? And he just mixes them together.
So he tried to describe himself as the first Catholic to win statewide in Delaware. I'm the first president to get elected statewide in the state of Delaware. First president. There's never been a Democratic president without the state of Delaware, Joe.
So let's talk about those radio interviews for a second,
So
because this is
that's-
part of the cleanup they were trying to do, putting them on black radio.
That's where we get like into this meat of this discussion, and where Ashbrook is going to provide some stuff here, is this radio host. So let's just start with the premise that Ashbrook has laid out, which is there is no mainstream media that actually does damage to Democrats unless it's at the behest of other Democrats. That is a rock solid fact. It's just fact. It's just true. And part of that reason is because the cozy relationship that they have. So White Houses are unfamiliar with the idea that they do interviews with actual radio hosts. You remember, like Karine Jean-Pierre, we covered this in the program, did one with like a liberal friendly in like Charlotte, North Carolina, where the guy asked a couple of questions about like, isn't he getting kind of old? And she hung up on him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like this is, so what they're used to is providing the questions.
Yeah.
Like, here are the questions I'm going to ask you a day in advance. You can prepare for them. When I ask them, you can just spit them right out.
Right.
Tell us how great you are, Joe Biden. Thank you so much for coming on the show. How many millions of people are you trying to help today?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just insane.
So this is what happens. So they go and try to do a black radio station in Wisconsin, of which they provide the questions to the radio station.
Yeah, the White House is like, so here's what you're asking today.
Right. So they do the
Free press.
interview. But here's the, like, what you need to know as a listener is this is the way that this works.
This is the collusion. Yeah.
They give the questions to the black radio host in a swing state that, nationally is of interest. The host asks those questions. He's not unprepared, so he provides decent answers for them. And then they market that.
Right.
But they not only market that, they then use the host in and of themselves as a surrogate.
A campaign surrogate. Let's play that clip from
Clip
CNN.
5.
What are you hearing from your listeners in reaction to what the president told you?
I am so glad that, first of all, thank you for having me on this morning on your show. It is an honor. I am so happy that that was the first question that you asked, because right after the interview aired at 6 o'clock this morning, I began getting comments like, you just saved the democracy. You were patient, you were kind, you allowed him to speak, and we understood what he was saying amidst the noise that we had been hearing about the fact that he was too old and it was time for him to retire and give it to someone else. And so I was proud of that. I was proud that WRD was chosen to be a part of this conversation so that people could get a clearer sense of what he was discussing and why he wanted to stay as the presumptive nominee for Democratic President of the United States of America.
I mean, you are getting a sense for what Democrats get on a day-to-day basis. You think Vince McMahon and the WWE is staged? Democrats in the media every single day of your life is staged. And if they are doing this about Joe Biden, who couldn't conduct himself in a debate, just imagine what they do every day on subjects like the climate, on the border, on taxes, the economy, inflation, everything that's going wrong in this country that's been glossed over by the media for the last who knows how many years has been like a target of Democrats in the media and their collusion to put a ruse over every regular
This is the
person.
gift of this moment in time.
Yeah.
It's not going to change. Like, don't think for a second that we're like gonna roll this all back and that all of a sudden libs don't have a codlock on every establishment in America. They will, and they will continue to do so. But now you know.
Yep.
We're not paranoid.
Right.
We're not weird.
Yep.
We're not scared. We're not like seeing ghosts. What happens is on every topic, including the President of the United States, they preview what it is that needs to be said, they say it, and then they market it from multiple different dimensions where you can go on a place like CNN, a national cable news host, and talk about how great the President of the United States was because he chose your station. You asked him the tough questions, except for all of the tough questions were drafted by the White House themselves.
And that she was like, I got a call, and they said, thank you for saving the democracy. But at least read the fucking lines right.
The real miracle of this moment is not just that it provides a lot of laughs and a lot of I told you so's for people who have been in the business like us. It is a validation for everybody listening to this show who has turned off the networks, who has stopped reading New York Times and the Washington Post because they've assumed that they're being fed lies and propaganda every day and they've sought other forms of news and information. It's a validation for them.
It's a validation for them. But like, all right, so this lady got fired?
Yeah.
This lady got fired.
That's another black job Biden cost. Like, Trump was right.
Yeah.
He tried warning you
Trump
people.
was right.
He tried warning them. But like, okay, so she gets her hand caught in the cookie jar for something that like all of American media, universities, entertainment, everything in American culture has been doing for years. Give me the questions, give me the answers. I'll testify to how great that is, but you give it to me. Mm-hmm. And like this poor lady in the middle of Wisconsin somehow found herself as the center of it.
And that's the thing is because to their machine, she's expendable.
Totally.
Like, she did nothing different than the, 50 intelligence agents who told us that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation? They didn't lose their jobs.
Nobody did. In fact, there's still contributors on all the cable
Right, and
networks.
the media wouldn't report that because they wanted Joe Biden to win, and they want Democrats to win now, and because they think that Joe Biden can't win, suddenly they're doing their jobs.
Bingo.
At the end of the day, they're the same liberal activist media they're always going to be.
That is the key.
Yes.
What you just heard here, we are not in this conversation because there is a legitimate concern about Joe Biden's ability to do the job. There's not. He's had the exact same demeanor throughout the course of his presidency. We're in this discussion because they don't think he can win.
Yep. They think they can find another Democrat.
They don't think he can win. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's the bottom. That's why this lady lost her job. They would never have been surfaced in the first
Never.
place.
Not in a million years.
Nobody would even have asked her the question.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I give people credit for finding out that they did get the questions because that's all they ever do. I mean, I guess it's like inside info. Like, well, they give everybody the questions. So did they give you the questions? She's like, yeah. They're like, great, you're fired.
They're like, this is the part you're supposed to say no.
I mean, just completely nuts. So, all right. So Biden insists, and this is where I love it. There's all kinds of rank and file House Democrats, which we talked about last Thursday, that are like the main problem here. Because Senate Democrats are like, I don't know, man. I don't like. I don't feel great about it. But if my name's not on a ballot, like I'm just here for the home team, right? I'm not going to take a lot of risks.
That's what I was like, I'm always on the ballot. This guy's going to fuck it all up.
and then you've got the guys like Bob Casey who are on the ballot in a tough re-election who are like, until you can show me another candidate, I'm riding with Biden, right? I mean, he's just like, I'm there, and he just backs him to the hilt. Like he's like, oh no, this guy's like basically a second coming of some kind of a savant that can't speak, but just has all the answers in his head.
Right.
Right. You look at what happened all of a sudden with Biden not being able to communicate with the rank and file. So Monday morning, yesterday, the guy rolls out a letter to the Hill that says that he declines to step aside and it's time for the party drama to end. This is 12 days after that mess of a debate. What were they doing last week?
This is like the Waco siege, and the house is on fire, and he's like, everything is fine, everyone get back in the house. I see you going for the window. Knock that shit off.
They don't really mean it. They're not coming. But he writes a letter to the thing saying, like, I'm not going anywhere, which is designed to try to stop the press leaks that they've been suffering over the last 13 days of just like,
And on that subject, so we just discussed how Warner had to cancel that like senators meeting.
Yeah.
So, because it leaked, in light of that, the D-Trip, the Democrats' House campaign committee, is holding a meeting that they're like, this is off the record. Everyone must check your phone in at the entrance. There are no phones allowed inside the room. Like, this is some skiff. Like, they're going after bin Laden here.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't wait until this leaks, because the second someone gets out of that room, they're hitting up their friend at, like, The Hill, Politico. They're calling Thompson. They're like, it's me again, buddy. I got something new.
I can't imagine a worse idea than assembling a bunch of House Democrats and being like, you can't tell anybody. Like, of course it's coming out. But here's the thing. He sends this letter. It's designed to try to, like, codify the wound a little bit, and then the campaign leaks out. This is what blows my mind more than anything on this planet. The campaign leaks out. President's been very active. Mm-hmm. He's made 20 phone calls to House Democrats.
20.
Whoa.
The campaign says that he has made 20 phone calls to House Democrats shoring up support. And they're like, that's a sign of strength.
Like, we're over the past like 10 days. I mean, come on, guys. You get 2 calls.
This is happening
10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
12 days after the drama. He's made 20? 20? Like, first of all, that should be 20 in the first hour after he walked off that shitty stage.
That's right. Yeah.
Where everyone thought he would completely lost the presidency. But then you spent the last week, the last 7 days of people being like, I'm not sure you can do it. And he's like, I don't know, I could maybe get one in every 5 or 6 hours.
So that brings up an interesting question. So we have seen not just how bad the debate went, but this disaster of a response that continues on and on from the Democrats. What could have Joe done walking off that stage?
Well, I mean, look, I want to get into this because I think this is like the heart of what Ashbrook is doing, but we still have more shit. Like, there's real stuff.
The thing is, like
we have to add to this cake before we put it in the oven. And, like, then we can ask Ashbrook how he would have handled this.
We should. That actually does go into that.
Right? So, like, I mean, look, the bottom line is, at the end of it, if you are having your campaign, pitch a process story. This is a general election presidential campaign. Picking a process story to pitch to mainstream media outlets like the New York Times and Washington Post, very receptive outlets, that they have used their resources, the time of their candidate, with 20 phone calls to the lowest hanging fruit of people that you can vote for. I mean, like, I don't know if there's a local organization anywhere in this country that is more likely to vote for Joe Biden than House Democrats are going to, and he made only 20. It couldn't stem the tide of the concerns that he's got. But more importantly, it didn't come from the White House. It came from the campaign. That's what they're focused on. These guys have trailed with independents for the last 5 months. 5 months. They are losing Wisconsin. They are losing Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina, Nevada, Arizona. They're focused on House Democrats,
And they're
this is
getting
your
outraised.
campaign.
Out fundraised on top of all of this.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're just sort of twisting in the wind because Donald Trump has shown remarkable discipline since that debate. And that's what's driving them crazy.
Yep.
It's driving the media crazy. It's driving Democrats crazy because they want Trump out there so that they can focus the attention of the media on Donald Trump.
Yep.
But Trump's just doing his thing. He's playing
just
golf,
playing golf and hanging out.
just being cool.
yeah,
and
just
like
being sweet.
and like there's no story for these reporters to go and chase on Donald Trump.
Yep.
And so all they can do is report out all this stuff about Biden.
I've seen like reports about staff RTs.
Come on.
No, I'm serious.
Wait, what are
all
they
they
saying?
got.
That like they're
Like, the Truth Social, like a retweet on whatever the hell you call retruth, or I don't
Yeah.
know what you call it on that platform, but like that's what they're left with because the guy's just letting Biden twist in the wind.
Yeah.
And
because he's operating under the assumption that we all know to be fact, what you've mentioned a couple times here, that Democrats are that the media only writes against Democrats if it's in service for another Democrat, and that the mainstream newspapers you read are basically Democrat newsletters. And what the Democrat newsletter says right now is we have problems on the inside, and there's no way around it because they're getting blown up by every Dem who's afraid of Joe Biden on the top of the ticket. And there's just no end in sight for them.
there's no end in sight. But let me cut to the chase of what's going on, and then we're going to get to the Democratic recommendations of how you would deal with this as the press secretary and everything else. But like, here's the thing: everyone knows that when you cancel caucuses and primaries, you just award delegates to an incumbent president. Like, it gets very, very hairy, and there's absolutely no way to dislodge the guy except for his acquiescence.
Yep.
He's made it very clear he's not fucking going
Yep.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, he's not interested. This is his family, and he's brought his family. There's a lot of stories about how his family is now, like, intertwined with the campaign, and, like, this is going to be a Biden family thing.
Yeah. Hunter's rolling blunts on the Resolute desk. They're
Yeah.
not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, but you have these major donors, maybe Obama, certainly congressional Democrats, questionable about like Mark Warner and the rest of them were like, well, maybe we should, oh, never mind, type atmosphere where people would love to see something different, but they're working on it. They're working on it. And they haven't closed the entire discussion yet. It's still going. It's Tuesday, following 2 weeks ago, Thursday's debate. They're not done yet.
Mm-hmm.
So is it over? No, it's not over. It's not over. He still has a lot of work to do. And the biggest thing is what we just discussed. He has to convince people he can win.
And he absolutely hasn't.
He hasn't.
Absolutely has not.
He absolutely has not. So, look, anyway.
He'll give it his goodest try.
They've all got these different theories. And there was this story in Semaphore, which was like, oh, it'll be a mini primary, which is like a West Wing dream.
Well,
Exactly.
with the donor who said that Oprah would host a debate,
Yeah.
Michelle Obama would host
Yeah.
a debate. Yeah,
Right. And like the thing is, what we've been saying since, a year and a half ago, that you have one of two options. Either you replace him with Kamala or you do a small slate at the DNC convention where you have delegates and then you have people like Obama putting thumbs on the scale over where they want it to go. But increasingly it feels like you got Kamala. And like, it's not great.
Not great.
That's not great. That's just not a great. So they're in a tough. Couldn't happen to better people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Couldn't happen to better people. So our question here is: who is pushing Biden to stay?
Yeah.
So we asked a question at the end of last week that we're not going to be able to answer now. The question was basically, when do you think Biden is gone? And I read them all. Great. Honestly, go to our listeners for some like innovative like inflection points that they think that he would step down on, because there's great stuff in our comments. We will get to that if and when we get to that point, and you'll win a hat. You're going to win a hat if you nail it. But we can't get to that yet. So we're going to go to the question before, which is like, who's pushing Biden to stay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it Jill? Is it Hunter? I mean, That part seems obvious. But who are the political allies?
Yeah.
Like, who wants him to stay?
Who are the donors? Is it Katzenberg?
Like, who are the people that want him to? Because those people have not made themselves evident.
I think the team captain is Hunter Biden.
It has to be.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of on that, too. I think of Hunter Biden vis-a-vis Joe Biden as like Bronny James and LeBron James. You know how LeBron got the Lakers to draft his son, even though he has no business
He didn't even
being
start
in the NBA?
college.
You know, it's sort of like that. Like, people underestimate how persuasive Hunter Biden can be. Yes, he is degenerate, crack addict, and criminal, and he's done a lot of terrible things in his life. This man is very, very persuasive. I mean, I don't know if you guys followed that trial, the trial on the gun charges in Delaware, but he had former ex-girlfriends, and one of the ex-girlfriends on there was this stripper who he was in the strip club with her. She was a professional stripper. These people are like paid to be emotionally detached. He smokes crack and puts on Fleet Foxes, and she falls in love with him.
No, I mean, this is a very persuasive
guy.
And it's a persuasive guy with his back against the wall. I mean, he, like you said, he's stitching a golden parachute. He's looking at that spool of shiny thread, and it has a time limit. At noon on January 20th, it runs out. And if he doesn't make his golden parachute between now and then, it's never going to be made.
I think that's right. So back to the comments of Tuesday of last week, because we can't comment on the Thursday ones. We're going to read what we've got. Where does this end? Does Biden stay? Does Kamala take over? Will there be an open convention? And I think this is particularly noteworthy. All of that, we start with the voice.
Yeah, and once again, remember, if you'd like to contribute and have your comments heard, like and subscribe if you wish to opine. The first one comes from Patty Sue. Patty Sue writes, Biden won't step aside of his own volition. Have you ever tried to take the car keys away from an elderly man with dementia? He's gone too far. He's too far gone to see his condition. Plus, his family and sycophants keep telling him that the other drivers caused the accidents.
Ooh. Yeah,
I like that.
That's really good.
It's a strong
Patty
metaphor.
Sue. Very, very good. All right, Dunks, what do we got?
This is from Lane Bashford. No, he cannot recover. His presidency is over. All that's left is a long goodbye because his family won't agree on him stepping down. He must be ousted, forced out, and soon in order to let things progress naturally and legally. Harris is not liked at all, but she's the only answer for the pitiful Democrats at this point. Biden must step down. Harris must run in his place so that the Dems don't lose millions in donations to Biden-Harris. This is about, how that's basically the fundraising vehicle.
Yep.
Someone needs to push him out now. The longer they go without him leaving is less time for Harris to campaign. She can't hide in a basement like he does. Harris is totally unlikable and will lose big to Trump no matter who the new VP is. In my opinion, the Dem party is finished for a long time. They have no message, no warmth, no connection to the people, and now we all know how much they've lied to the American people.
I mean, it's hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
Lane, very, very good take. Smug, what do you got from Tony G?
This is from Tony G. They write, Biden drops out only if he's offered enough money. Jill and family spent the weekend coming up with a number. They're a family of grifters. Yes, they are.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Yes,
Why
Tony.
won't this be seen as one last opportunity to make some money off the big guy? By the way, you guys are great. You should take your show on the road. I live in quasi-rural Minnesota and host a big cookout every fall. You could start there.
Dude.
Not a bad idea.
Listen, we're never too far from many.
Yeah.
And that Tonka thing last summer.
Oh, it was
It's
so
something
good.
about the 4th of July. It was around the 4th of July when we did it, where we were out on Tonka on the lake.
Yeah.
Where it's just like perfect weather.
Great time.
We got to schedule something like that back again. But we're going to be out on the road, as you know, for the convention, and we're going to be doing some other things after that. So get involved with the program. But in the meantime, big word from our sponsor here on the Variety program. It's a good one. And honestly, Z-Biotics, I think we've all had a very good experience with those.
We have an intimate relationship with Z-Biotics.
Yes.
This is the pre-alcohol drink that allows you to basically, get rid of all of those after effects to having a big night.
Yeah, it's something, I've used it. I feel better the next day. It is scientifically, I don't begin to know. You're the science guy.
Yeah, so essentially, in your stomach after you drink alcohol, there's all this like
It's a toxic byproduct.
Toxic byproduct that's left there, and Z-Biotics basically goes to work, kills it all, and you end up feeling like $1 million. It's, in all honesty, at this point, I don't drink unless there's Z-Biotics available, which is why whenever it's around in the office, I stockpile that. And,
You steal it.
Is that why you steal it from mine?
Yeah.
It's not stealing. It's I take care of myself. So you go to my place, and on my cocktail cart, I've got the Z-Biotics sitting right there because that's the easiest way to remember. I want to take this before I have a cocktail, so I feel like $1 million.
I think we're going to need a whole suitcase of Z-Biotics next week for the convention.
And
Z-Biotics,
that was
if you're
what
listening.
I was going to say. If you're listening, Z-Biotics.
Ship us a case.
This
overnight.
We need it.
We need it. I mean, it works. That's why we're asking for it.
We need it. And I think a lot of our people are going to need it too. So vacations, weddings, birthdays, reunions, there's so much going on, including national conventions,
That's right.
fellas. Get the most of summer plans by stocking up on pre-alcohol now. Go to zbiotics.com/ruthless to get 15% off your first order when you order and use Ruthless at the checkout. Z-Biotics is backed by a 100% money guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. You got to love that out of a sponsor. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/ruthless and use the Ruthless code at the checkout for 15% off. You can get Z-Biotics sponsoring this episode. Thanks for all you do and all your good time, Z-Biotics. We're going to keep on that definitely at the convention.
Oh, you know it.
So, Dem staffer boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of anticipation for this smash. I'd be interested to hear where we're going.
Well, let me just start with a couple of truths in American politics that we all know and are very familiar with. The first one is that the easiest job in town is Democrat press secretary.
No question.
The second is that Democrat hearts are notoriously cold and power hungry. Republican hearts are big and giving.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So here you're giving.
And here, as a display of bipartisanship, we know that these Democrat press secretaries have never in their careers had to do their job a single day. So we thought as Republicans, we could provide a few tips for them to keep in mind as they are fielding questions from reporters they've never before fielded. So, so let's go to that boot camp.
I didn't know you had audio.
So once again, as a public service to Democrat press secretaries everywhere, the Ruthless Variety Program would like to share a series of tips. And to start, I'm going to turn it over to the old man who has a pretty good idea for them.
Yeah, so you may not be used to this when you're walking around the Capitol with your boss. But when you're in an elevator and it gets to the floor and the doors open, you're going to see reporters there. This may be new to you, but they're going to have questions that you have to answer. And so what you're going to want to do is huddle with your boss before that door opens and figure out what his statement or her statement will be.
You mean it's something other than like, how was your day?
Yeah.
Or what's your favorite color?
Right.
There's something you have to actually put some thought into.
Well, there's no Donald Trump tweet for them to read to you to react to.
Right.
So now they have to have like actual thouts about things.
So like
or
when-
there's a cheat code. You can just hold your phone up to your ear and have your member act like they're on the phone.
The old Al Franken.
There you go.
Didn't serve him well in the end, to be honest.
I mean, that's a terrific tip, Michael. And just continuing with our generosity here at the Ruthless Variety Program, Smug, I would like you to offer your tip for Democrat press secretary.
Well, I think for a lot of Democrats, the best tip is when you're at those Georgetown cocktail parties hanging out with Ashbrook, just lean on him. He's got tons of good advice for you. This is a prime example. His journo buddies are probably there hanging out, having, a martini with the guy. Let him introduce you to him.
That's very, very good. That's very good, Smug. I appreciate that. And now for another tip, I'd like to turn to the king of Republican communications, Josh Holmes.
Oh, it's very kind of you. I appreciate that. I didn't know I was going to be providing a tip. But if there's one tip that I could provide, it's basically like you're going to get more than one request from a member of the journalism community on a question that you're not going to like, and they're not going to pre-vet your answer, right? You can't send them an email back and be like, how does this sound?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have them send you something back being like, well, maybe you should edit this, that, and the other because it would sound better in my write-up.
Even worse, Josh, they might provide you a deadline.
My God.
In which you have to respond, and you have to answer, or they're going to publish it.
Let's not get too carried away. Like, I'm not sure that we're at that. It's DEFCON 5. I'm not sure we've gone red alert quite yet. The deadline is certainly apparent, but I do think maybe the pre-question, the era in this circumstance, they may not give you exactly what it is that you want. You may not be able to read the story before it goes to print.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have to extrapolate out and use some of your cunning and understanding of what fits well with the narrative that's being written. It may not be favorable to your cause.
That's very well said. Very helpful. And for the final tip in our Democrat boot camp, I would like to remind all press secretaries to not lie, because the press won't let you get away with it this week. 1 week only. Do not lie this week.
Yeah, it'll come back. It'll come back. And this is the thing. So we laugh, and this is hilarious because the Democratic poop, they've never had to deal with it.
Never have had any of this.
They've never had it. But like in Republican circles, like all of us have taken young communicators under our wings and been like, look, if you're really in a pickle, here are the things that you need to do. And we're like, it's part of the thing, like we just do with young up-and-coming people because we like doing it.
It's not an easy job as a Republican coming up through the ranks.
But like one of the things is, the last thing you said is there's going to be a lot of pressure for full untruths, right? Because nobody wants the actual unvarnished truth. In this situation, the actual unvarnished truth is Joe Biden is not fit to be president of the United States. He's not physically able. He's too old to be president. We can talk about, they've talked about doctors who've examined Parkinson's. They've talked about like all these other things. Like all of that is just sort of a web of nonsense. The fact of the matter is we all know what's going on.
Yep.
We all know what's going on. We all have grandparents. We've all had parents. We've all seen the aging process. We all know what's happening. We know that this 82-year-old guy is not the same as like Chuck Grassley. Mm-hmm. Right? Chuck Grassley at 82.
He's running
like 5 miles every morning. Biden's not doing that.
Like, so aging hits people differently, but when you see it, you know it. Right? Mm-hmm. So don't. If you're a young Dem Comm staffer and you stand there, you're like, I've never seen a more vigorous individual anywhere in my life. He runs laps around all the other staffers and puts us to our paces.
Yeah. That's not working anymore.
You're an asshole, and you're never going to work anywhere in this town in like 3 or 4 years because everyone knows you're an asshole. And it's not about doing your job. One thing is to try to protect your principle. People understand that. Lying is an otherworldly event.
That's a good tip.
It's very hard for Democrats not to do that because that's what they do every single day.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling a lot of them are going to get caught up in that specific problem this week. Anyhow, it's just a few tips from the Ruthless Variety Program to the Democrats out there who've never done the job before.
You have such a big heart.
Yeah, just friendly.
You do. Very friendly, thoughtful advice.
Mm-hmm. Public service.
What do you get? You get like 3 or more inquiries at one time? Do you have one statement?
That's a good idea. Say the same thing to everybody.
Yeah.
Because
so
if
they're going to talk to each other, and if they're like, oh, he said this, he must be lying.
Can you imagine getting 2 or more inquiries that are negative in connotation?
Oh, well, nobody understands that better than the Don Beyer office today.
And the answer is, he is fit to serve. Jesus, it's a statement. It's a statement. All right, so the second thing that we wanted to get to in Variety is something, I don't know if you guys have seen this. Everybody's got their own 4th of July celebrations and how they deal with it. I love fireworks. And people love sending you pictures of their fireworks.
Oh yeah, it's a tradition.
Did you get a lot of them?
I did, unfortunately. And this is, if I can have a second, there's no reason to take photos of fireworks. It's just like there's no one wants to see it. You know, if you're not there, you're not enjoying the fireworks, and then your phone's photo is blurry as shit. You can't see a goddamn thing. It's a mess. No one wants to see it. Don't send your fireworks photos. I mean, I don't know why people do this. They always do this, but you know, what are you going to do?
They tag you on each and every one.
Yeah.
So the other way to do this is launching cars off of a cliff.
Yes.
Which, I mean, how do I get a part of what you're about to see in clip 6? Looks like got a flyover, bus, a bus exploding at the bottom of a cliff, another bus.
That's a double-decker bus.
Holy cow. Just disintegrated on impact.
I mean, this is how you celebrate. Oh, look at the size of that cliff.
Look at the height
Look
on
at
that.
that. That must be the grand finale. Multiple cars at the same time.
Yeah, so for our audio-only listeners, these are cars that they drive off of what appears to be like 1,000-foot cliff.
Yeah, it's massive.
And I'm told by reading the article that they actually put like maybe a cinder block on the accelerator or something.
I mean, that's just a good time.
And drive them off this thing, and there's a crowd of people that are there to appreciate it.
That's such a good time.
Oh, nothing says America like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you get that? You get some illegal fireworks?
I mean,
And-
what a day that would have to. I
It's
mean,
just a blast.
Like, I would show up early. I would tailgate this thing.
I
I
would
would bring
too.
the grill. I would bring beer. I'd bring buddies, and we would make it a whole day.
You kind of feel like the Democratic caucus would load up that school bus with Joe Biden. But alas, they cannot. They cannot. Fellas, I think we've done it. What a wonderful recap of the week. Reminder, we are going to be live at the convention. 4 hours of wonderfulness, 2 hours by us, 2 hours by Megyn Kelly on Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to be getting together. The guests are out of control.
It's going to be incredible.
You're going to love every second of it, but you got to go and like and subscribe and hit that bell button so you know that you can get it live and in person. With that, I think we've done it.
I think so. Absolute banger of an episode. Gentlemen, thank you so much to the Minions for leaving such wonderful comments. We read them all. And remember, if you have not yet, subscribe to the YouTube. So until next time, Minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you on Thursday. Stay ruthless.